thank you for taking the time out of your day and joining this webinar. Me, along with my colleagues, Ani and Aki, have come here for this session for you to bring all the functionalities that we've built in SuperOps. And we really hope that these functionalities excite you and help you with your everyday work as an MSP. So let's dive in. So the key takeaways from the next 40 or 45 minutes would be, first, who we are. Most of you would already know about SuperOps, so you would know who we are, what we do, and you probably also use our solution. But for those who do not know about us yet, who have not used our solution yet, a quick brief summary of who we are, what we do, and everything about us. And then we will talk about our vision for the MSP industry. So we have been building this solution for a few years now, and all of this stems from a very strong conviction and thought process, and we want to share that with all of you. And then we will go about giving you a demo of all the functionalities that we've built in the recent past over the last quarter. Many of these solutions, many of these features would be something that you've requested, something that you've asked for us to build. So that's there. And then the most exciting part of this session, maybe for some of you, is what is in our roadmap. So this will be everything that we'll be talking about for the next 40 to 45 minutes. So who we are, right? Who is SuperOps? You may have heard about us, you may have seen us at this campaign or another campaign, but who are we and what do we actually do? We have a PSA and RMM solution put together in one platform. As MSPs, you would be aware of what a PSA is, what an RMM is, and you would also be aware of many other vendors in the market. But what truly differentiates us, how do we truly stand out against the vendors in the MSP market, is the fact that we are truly unified. We have built it unified and not just integrated with other platforms. So as we will be having a demo of the solution as we go over this webinar, but you will be able to see how really stitched our solution is, how from ticketing to asset management to alerts to reports, everything is intertwined within one single platform. You really don't have to jump between one tool to another. And as an MSP, it is very important for you to have everything together because you are providing a service to your client and you do not have the affordability to lose anything in the cracks. So that is one of our core philosophies that we started to build the solution, and we have achieved that. And not only this, we are very aware that there are other smaller tools in the industry that MSPs have gotten so accustomed to using. And some of the examples are Bitdefender, Splashtop, TaxRate, QuickBooks, right? So it is impossible to build everything under a platform, and it is impossible to get MSPs to move out of the tools that they are currently using. We understand that, and hence we have integrated with all of these solutions that you are already using in your environment. So put together, this is who we are, right? We want you to stop using multiple tools and increasing your risk. Instead, we want you to understand the power of having everything that you need in a single platform and making sure that you're fully efficient and fully risk safe. So that's who we are. Now, everything that you see in the last 3 slides, right, they came from a very strong conviction, as I mentioned, and that's what we're going to see next. So we have a vision, which is to be the most trusted platform in the MSP world, because we understand that trust is really what drives the industry, right? The trust that your clients have on you, the trust that you have on the vendors, the trust that you have on the solution providers. It really revolves around the trust. And we want to be the platform which provides you the utmost trust, whom you can really rely on. So that's where we want to be. And how are we going to do that? We are going to be your success partner. We want to be a part of your success journey. And we're doing that by bridging the gap in the industry. And we do realize that there is a gap in the industry. What MSP wants, what an MSP needs to do a great job in their work. Compared to what is available in the market, there is a huge gap. We realize it, you realize it, and we want to bridge that gap. And we also want to do it in the most efficient way so that you can do more with less. That's what we want to do. And all of this stems from the core values that we hold, which is simplicity. And it's not just, it's not just with SuperOps, it's not just with the product, but with everything that we do, be it the operations that we do, be it with our interactions internally with our fellow employees. It is simple. We want to keep it simple. And we want to show reliable consistency. We want to show growth in a consistent way. We want to show support in a consistent way. We want to be consistent with everything that we do. And then we really want to be excellent. Who wouldn't? But we realize that that's not very common in the MSP industry when you see the vendors that are there in the market. So we want to set a standard that is on par with other huge industries like ITSM or ITOM, where solutions like ServiceNow or Freshworks or Zoho, the giants that are there in the market who have built these excellent solutions, we want to be in that standard. We want to provide such standard to the MSP industry. So I'm very passionate about our core values and vision, as you can clearly see, but that's who we are. It's not just me. Every single person at SuperOps carries these values and this vision inside them, and it translates in everything that they do. Now, this vision and values, how does it really translate to the product, right? The vision is one part of it. And then we have the feature requests that come from you. And we also have our CAB, our customer advisory board, where we have veteran MSPs, consultants of MSPs, and the industry experts who are coming in to give us advice and to guide us to build the product that is really needed in the market today. Now, with all these put together, our vision, the feature request, and the expert guidance, all of these drive our development themes, which really, if you look at the three of them, increased efficiency, increased client satisfaction, predictable profitability, and cash flow, we see that these three are the burning problems or the driving goals for an MSP. Anything that you do, you want to be the most efficient, you want to have increased client satisfaction. You also want to have a predictable cash flow and profitability, don't you? We understand that. And that is why we have taken that up as our mission to fulfill those three goals through our solutions, through our features. Now, these themes go into our roadmap, which means that our product managers, when they start out building a functionality, they think, okay, which one of these three themes is it going to fit? Which one of these three major goals is it going to help the MSPs achieve? That is the thought process in which we build our product. So anything that you see in the product is built with the idea of making sure that you are able to achieve at least one of these goals. So that is how we build our roadmap. Going forward, we want to talk about what's new. We want to talk about all the exciting functionalities that we have built. We are super excited for it. And for this, I would like to call upon Akhilesh, one of the product managers that we have in SuperOps. If you had attended previous webinars, you know how great he is. He is the one person who has built everything that you see in the PSA module of SuperOps. He's extremely passionate about what he builds. Let me invite him over for this. Hey, Akhilesh.
Yes, hey, Emma, thank you so much. Are you able to hear me fine?
Yes, I'm able to. And thank you so much for joining this webinar, Akhilesh. Over to you now.
Perfect. Sounds great, Emma. So maybe if we could just move to the next slide alone, I can talk about the idea behind what we released in Q3. Of course, Q3 was a terrific quarter for us in terms of how much we were able to impact MSPs in terms of improving their efficiency, satisfaction, be it not only our partners or MSP satisfaction, but how they are able to satisfy their clients and improve the way that they manage their cash flow, profitability, or let's say even invoicing, billing, all of that process, right? So that's what we pretty much did in Q3. And as you can see, a lot of features aligned in those three themes like Hema did share. So what I'll do is, of course, I will move away from the PPT. I'm the product guy. I love the product. So I'm going to jump into the product directly and walk you through each themes and also what we shipped. And as and when you see these features, if you want to double click on it and have some questions, of course, you will have your Q&A and the chat window. Please keep popping those questions on. So once I'm done with my demonstrations, I'll make sure to get back to you one by one on that. But however, I'll keep it very high level so that I can answer more in the quick Q&As, right? So quickly sharing my screen into the product. There we go. So are you able to see my screen? Hema, could you confirm if you're able to see the screen?
Yes, okay, I can see your screen.
Perfect. Sounds great. Awesome. So in terms of improving efficiency, right? Of course, we did a lot of enhancements to improve how you work with SuperOps.ai. How can we reduce clicks? A lot of minor enhancements and design changes that did go through. But before all that, one of the things that we wanted to make sure is not to just working with SuperOps.ai. Let's say you're moving into SuperOps, and we don't want that to be an arduous task, especially moving PSA is a pain. And we understand that for MSPs because all your data is there, you're running your business, and of course SuperOps is great, but when you want to make that switch, even that switch had to be easy for MSPs. We wanted to make sure it's easy. So let's say if it's a very straightforward data and you just wanted to bring in your clients and requesters, etc., we built a very DIY CSV import right inside the product itself. Let's say you want to import a list of requesters or a client. All you have to do is just hit import and upload a data. It can be a CSV. It's an export from your existing tool. And the best part is it's completely DIY. You don't need to break your head about what's the error, why the import is not happening, etc. The wizard will walk you through the import itself. It will kind of ask which is the row that shows what are all the column names. Then once I say which is the first row, then it auto maps all the, let's say, columns based on the names that's already there and the intelligence that's there in it. But sometimes, let's say it's unable to match something, it is going to pop that out so that you can map these columns as well, saying which column it belongs to. And maybe if you want to map it to a particular line, then how you have to map it, etc. So that's about how easy we have made the mapping, even if it's about mapping, let's say, multiple drop-down values and multiple things like email domains, etc. All of that will be handled. And I can quickly say, who does this belong to? I found an email as part of Account Manager, but that Account Manager is not there as a technician in the tool. Then it's already going to show me who I have to map it to, etc. And then hit next, and that's about it. So then if there are any field that mapping is not there, it is going to pop saying that what is not there. And it's pretty straightforward. All you have to do is just go ahead and find out what mapping you have to do, ignore columns that is not required, maybe and causing you problems. And once you do that, we also show if there are any errors with problems. It's showing invalid value because I'm asking this client to be mapped to a technician, but technician does not exist in the tool. Maybe I can change it even on the fly and hit finish, and the import is going to happen in a jiffy, right? So that's how quick we have made the import process itself, be it bringing your clients or list of requesters. Pretty straightforward. Just add your CSV and the wizard will take care of things for you. And you don't need to worry about errors, how many came in, how many didn't come out after importing with our logs, etc. So that's one part. But of course, if you're importing using our integrations, QuickBooks, Xero, all that also will bring in these details such as client. That's another way. But we still have a lot of MSPs who want to come in with a lot more data. It's just not the client or requester data, but however, it is also the ticket data that they want, the previous conversations, etc. So even that we have taken care of. Is we have partnered with our authorized migration partner, which is Helpdesk Migration. So we have made it very easy where you can just choose where you're migrating from. Let's say it's Autotask or ConnectWise, and just say you have to move into SuperOps.ai. And they have their wizard, which is going to bring in not only client and requesters, they'll help you bring even ticket, conversations, attachments, everything as part of this progress. So we have partnered with Helpdesk Migration as our partners who can help you with this migration end to end, right? So coming into SuperOps.ai is pretty easy right now. And but if you have developers in your team and all this is boring things to you and you just want to do it your own way, do not worry at all. We also launched our APIs. So you can generate an API token, and you can even check out our API documentation right here. So bringing in data, taking in data, plugging your ecosystem into superops.ai, taking data out of superops to make sure that it's part of your ecosystem. Everything is right here. So we have made it pretty flexible so that getting started with SuperOps and working with SuperOps in your ecosystem is not going to be a challenge at all anymore. So that is what I wanted to start with respect to how efficient we have made it to get into SuperOps.ai itself first. That's part A. Now, part B is a lot of asks were there on, of course, one of the way SuperOps.ai stands out is, as you can see, it's just not a ticketing solution. We have built a complete unified solution into it. It's just not an RMM, but it has IT documentation along with it. Not just ticketing, but you also have project management with it. And this unified view where you can track time, manage projects, tickets, everything in one single space started resonating well with our customers a lot. But one pain that they had is while creating projects, most of the time it's onboarding a client, setting up a new email server, migrating to Office 365. These are all standard projects that you didn't want to create again and again for your clients. So that's why we even launched project templates. So let's say you are spawning a new project and you know that you have done this project, you do this project very often. All you have to do is just choose a template saying it's a standard client onboarding project. And that's about it. All the milestone tasks, everything will be populated. You just have to say which client this is for and hit save. And pretty much apart from that, everything that you have in project management existing that is currently there will work very smoothly. So creating a project now is just a couple of clicks away. And we have made it easy to manage these as well. So under advanced configuration in templates, we have grouped all kind of templates, be it tickets, projects, tasks, and replies. This is where you will find them. So anywhere you feel some friction is there and you have to template them and use these things with just a couple of clicks, this is where you come pretty much under advanced configuration templates, and you can create them from scratch, anything that you like. And here we're talking about project template, and you can create these template with dynamic timelines as well, so that whenever you create, the project will have the deadlines accordingly. Right. So that is one of the major asks that we had. And other asks was also from our MSP community is ticketing is great, project is great, now creating projects is great. But sometimes I have, let's say, clients on a managed services mode as part of my contract. And what I would need to do is to make sure that I run some standard recurring tasks for them, be it, let's say, taking a backup or checking the asset health and sending them a report on, let's say, a monthly basis, etc. So all these are committed as part of my contract, or it can be even a simple internal reminder for me to do something, right? So all these were table stakes IT tasks that MSPs had to do or technicians had to do. But of course, whenever it has to be a recurring one or a reminder, they had to keep it in their mind, or it existed in the calendar, and they had to create that in SuperOps. But we wanted to save that hop also, and that's why we released Ticket Scheduler. So as you can see in our ticketing automations, you would find this right now, where you'd be able to see Ticket Scheduler. So let's say if it's about taking generally a backup schedule or checking an asset health for a particular client on a monthly basis, all you have to do is just go ahead and create a ticket and give it a name saying, let's say, asset health check. And then a description. And if it's just a one-time reminder, you can choose to use that for that. Or if it's going to be a monthly one for a particular client, then I can say every month when it has to be created. And if it's not going to end ever, then you can choose to do so. But if it has to end after a particular date, after a few times or so, pretty flexible, right? You can define the schedule and then tell which client this is for, and also what kind of task this is. The best part is once this ticket is auto created, it can have an run book also associated. So if it's assigned to a technician, they will literally know what they have to do for this particular recurring ticket that comes in every time into their queue. And to make things easier, we don't want to clutter the whole queue with all of this. So if you're in a general queue and if it's a scheduled ticket, you will have a notification saying it is a scheduled ticket. But however, you can also create a separate ticket view for all scheduled tickets. So that's pretty straightforward as well. So I can create a schedule, and here all I have to do is give source and then choose accordingly the source, which is schedule. And you can create a view where all the scheduled tickets are there, so that it doesn't really confuse your normal views as well. So these are all the ways that we have made sure that coming into SuperOps.ai, creating a project or making sure that you don't forget doing repeated tasks or any reminders is pretty easy in SuperOps, right? And this is in terms of managing your operations, all of that. Beyond this, also what I wanted to share was, of course, a couple of things like what we rolled out in terms of enhancements on how you can work with ticket is one major revamp that we did was our Kanban view. Because we did have, of course, a particular, let's say, group of our users who was actually using our Kanban view a lot. Just a quick backstory there. Of course, we built our project management as unified solution. A project management should come with a Kanban view, right? And we thought if using Kanban view for projects is very easy, why not? We should not take that and augment that for ticketing as well. And we did that as an experiment. And wow, we had such great reception in using Kanban view. That is why we said, let's double down on that and add a lot more value to the Kanban view. So that's why now, let's say you move to a Kanban view. You don't need to work with a long list of tickets all the time in SuperOps. Switch to a Kanban view and quickly you can see all your technicians, what is their workload like. Maybe you want to move tasks around. You can choose to do so. Unpin and pin boards. How is this useful? Maybe I know that this particular technician is on leave today. I can quickly pin them so that I'll know that their tasks are right here. And I can quickly move around who's free for the day and then start assigning and moving tasks around. That's how easy it is right now. Right. And let's say I want to see some bottlenecks in my progress, saying that which tickets are there in which status, are there any bottlenecks, and I have to move things around, then I can choose to do so, saying that move things to in progress, new, right from there. And I think I'm playing with some demo environment where that's why I think the screen kind of broke there. Sorry about that. But however, what you can choose to do so is go ahead and move things around. And what we have also done is making sure that assigning these tickets, right? Where let's say you go ahead and understand that someone's on leave or someone's very busy to handle this bottleneck ticket, I can even move agents right from here itself, right from on the same screen. I can go ahead and move things around and see who's free and juggle things. So this is a bird's eye view. Let's say if you're an MSP dispatcher, especially, and you want to make sure that you want to have a high level view of understanding how to manage my tickets, triage my tickets and move things around, rather than always being stuck with, let's say, a list view. That is the norm in general. You can move to a very new Kanban view and handle tickets with ease. So that's what we have done in terms of, let's say, improving efficiency, be it coming into SuperOps.ai, working with SuperOps.ai, or managing things in SuperOps.ai, right? And I can see that there are a lot of questions coming in as well. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to take that part for with respect to the questions that's coming in. But moving on, I wanted to cover the other aspects as well that we rolled out in other themes. That is customer satisfaction, right? We understand the MSP world is super competitive. You want to make sure that your clients are happy. They signed up for a contract with you, an agreement with you to take care of things, and you want to make sure that's handled very easily. And then to make sure that all of this is streamlined, all these tickets are flowing in very easily, etc. What we rolled out is also enhancing our email capabilities, where I can go ahead and quickly see that I can add multiple mailboxes. And why would this be useful is because before we gave an option to just handle one email. That's about it. But however, now you can add multiple mailboxes. Let's say you have separate emails for, let's say, different clients, then I can choose to do so. You don't need to go ahead and give your MSP name saying support@msp.com for all of your clients' employees, but it has to be white label. Then it can be even an email address saying support at, let's say, clienta.com. And I can say whenever someone writes to this email, automatically associated to, let's say, that particular client, right? So I can even brand my email addresses so that I can make sure that the clients that I'm partnered with, their employees do not feel like they're writing to a third-party company for any kind of help that they need. Or it can be even an email address for, let's say, you can even give instructions to your client saying, hey, anything general issues, you can write to support@msp.com. But any hardware related issues or networking related issues, maybe you want to have a separate email address, go ahead, create a new email address, and you can even say any tickets that's coming into this particular email address is automatically associated to, let's say, a hardware specialist, right? So routing is becoming easy, making sure that your clients are happy about how easily they're able to reach you. Everything is achieved by this mailbox itself. But however, I would like to say that this is not mandatory. You can even turn this off, just have list of email boxes and manage all this routing or even advanced setting using our automations. So you can create multiple, let's say, email boxes, and then go ahead and say from ticket creation, I can go ahead and say if the to email that the email was sent to is a particular email, then what I should do to the ticket. That's about it. So you can even use this for automations to go ahead and create complex workflows or how these tickets have to flow and how you're identifying these. So one of the common use cases that our clients use this for is, let's say you have a separate backup system or separate alerting system, etc. And you want to make sure all this comes to a separate queue. No worries, just create a new mailbox and just direct all of that to a queue. And I can even say if the to email is coming to, let's say, backup email, and also the subject, let's say, contains a particular keyword like a client or let's say urgent, etc. I can set the property as urgent or set the client as well, saying that if the subject contains this client name, it has to go to Acme, right? So you can, the world is endless here. You can create complex workflows with respect to using our custom mailbox and automations. So we have made sure that reaching out to you is very easy, but how you manage and triage tickets is completely automated with this little announcement there. Right. And also another thing that we also added here is while this happens, sometimes a lot of you asked about a particular business owner being part of multiple clients, right? So what we did is not only have a strict mapping saying client should have requesters, we rolled out a requesters tab where a particular requester can be part of multiple sites as well. Let's say here, Abhishek is part of, let's say, 2 different clients because he owns both the clients. Then you can make them part of both the clients as well, and they can raise tickets for both of them. So that's a lot of enhancements that I kind of covered there in making sure that we make sure that coming into SuperOps.ai, working with SuperOps, and also making sure that you are very easily reachable and handle multiple, let's say, complex workflows and automations is what we kind of focused on in Q3. And I know I've been going on for a while. And one of the other things that I would, of course, cover is in terms of how all this comes into, of course, everyone's interested in the money, the cash flow, all of that. But I'm just going to take a pause here to see any burning questions that I have to answer, or I can go ahead and move on. Yes, I think there's only one question on migration, which I think Emma's already answered, and I think we are good about that. So these are all a couple of enhancements that we rolled from an efficiency and making sure that how your customers reach out to you and how you handle workflows are way improved before, rather than how you are kind of handled in SuperOps.ai previously. But now, let's say you came into SuperOps.ai, it's easy, a cakewalk now. You made sure that you're very easily reachable to your customers, again, a cakewalk. But however, now what's going to happen is once you start working with SuperOps.ai, of course, Kanban view, project templates, everything is helping you right there. But on top of this, what we wanted to do is one of the most important aspects of working with a ticket, that is timers, right? So let's say I go ahead and look into a ticket. You will see a brand new timer right here. And maybe let me create a sample ticket for this case itself, just to show how that works. It's not about how the design has changed, but of course, if you noticed in the design, we would have a lot of, let's say, UI fixes, how many clicks it takes to actually log the ticket. And we have made sure it's less than a click most of the times. So let's say I'm going to create this particular sample ticket on behalf of the timer, just timer test ticket, and just I hit save. So you can go ahead and create a ticket. But the best part is purposely I'm not assigning a technician. Let's say an automation can automatically assign the technician. And let's say if the ticket belongs to me and I open the ticket, the moment I look into the ticket, you can see the timer auto started, right? The moment the ticket got assigned to me and I'm looking into the ticket, the timer will auto track because SuperOps understands that, hey, this is a ticket that belongs to you and you are looking into this ticket. So that means that you're working on it, and you can immediately see the timer starts tracking and I can start working on the ticket. But we also acknowledge, so one problem that we wanted to solve here is MSPs or technicians do not forget to log time or start the timer when they start work. But however, we also realize every technician is super busy, and we wanted to make sure it's super easy to go ahead and juggle multiple tasks. That's why you will be able to see something called active timers or running timers. So it will clearly show that what I'm currently working on, where the timer is running, and how many parallel works that I've left hanging so that maybe I have to finish. But let's say that I'm actually held up in something else and the timer is running. I can just pause right from here and handle multiple things at one single time. So that's how we have made sure that it's super productive and super easy. Then logging time, I have to quickly add notes and hit save. And then it goes through the usual rigor of, let's say, you going through invoicing and all of that. But what we have made sure here is it's going to be super easy, one, to log time for your technicians right behind a click, and it'll auto start tracking your time. And if you're juggling between multiple tasks, you will not lose track because you'll always have your running timers showing where you are, what you're up to, so that you can manage things very easily. And the best part of Unified Suite, it'll be across projects and tickets, right? So I think there are a couple of questions there as well. And if you switch from ticket 1 to ticket 2, will ticket 1's timer auto pass? Nick, at the moment, not. So what we are doing is we are leaving the multitasking to the technicians at the moment. Maybe you're switching for a minute and you're going to come back, etc. So the one way that or how you can manage this is if you're switching tabs and let's say the timer is running for this particular ticket and I'm moving into some other ticket, we don't auto pass it, but however, we clearly show you that the timer is running in your active timer so you can manage things efficiently, right? So that is from the auto start timer and the active timers part of it, and how efficiently technicians can work with SuperOps. And then, of course, as MSP managers and owners, you'll be going ahead and creating invoices out of all these logs that came in. And we wanted to make sure an invoice looks rock solid. That's why we got ahead and released our global invoice settings as well. So as you can see in your contract and billing settings, you will have something called the invoice settings, where I can set when the invoice has to be created, what are all the line item templates, and how the invoice has to be auto-generated so that you can make it completely automated. But all these were, of course, there at a client level, but we made it at a global level, so you don't need to set it at a client level. But however, one new addition there is your template. So I can create my own invoice template. What the title of the invoice should be. Should it be just invoice, or should it be sales invoice or tax invoice? You get to call that. And what kind of information as notes should be there. So we have a section where you can add custom notes, some bank information, or let's say even if it's a thank you note, it can be generally thank you for your business. Then you can go ahead and add these notes right here. So this is a quick notes section that we added. So it can be part of every invoice. And on the bottom of the invoice, the footer is pretty flexible. It's a rich text editor. You can add images. And ideally, this is where you add your terms and condition, and all of this goes right here. So once you set up your template, so if you go ahead and look into a particular invoice that I just wanted to quickly show how this template is rendering. Now, you would be able to go ahead and maybe let me take this particular invoice, and there we go. So once the invoice is generated, it will follow that particular template. And if you want to add any custom information for this particular invoice, then I can choose to do so as well. I can edit an invoice and maybe add more information only for this invoice on top of the template and regenerate it, hit save. So that's one thing. And also you can download a PDF and send it to your client. So sending to your client is pretty straightforward in SuperOps. All I have to do is send invoice and it immediately sends your client, and you can see the conversation and you can have a to and fro conversation with your client about this invoice right here itself. But there could be cases where you have to take a PDF for your own reference or send it to a different channel, or your clients want to download a PDF, then that's also something that's available right now. Hit download PDF and the PDF will immediately get downloaded. So these are all a couple of enhancements that we made sure, let's say adding time and also making sure that your invoice reflects your branding, information, downloading PDF to make sure that your invoicing flow also is pretty smooth and it does not end where the timers are ending. And I can see a lot of questions coming in for, let's say, For example, the invoicing and the auto start timer, I think it spiked a lot of interest. I'm just going to maybe take a couple here. Can the invoice number fee modify to our own standards? Angel, so at the moment, of course, if you have already started using our invoicing module, of course, the standard invoicing ID is what we follow. We don't have an option to modify it yet. But however, we are coming up with an announcement where at least you can say what sequence number it has to run from. So ideally now, by default, all invoice sequence starts from 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. with their date. But however, we have made an announcement where we can go ahead and say the invoice should start from, let's say, 200, right? So 201, 202. So that is something that is something I want to share. If that helps, maybe we can definitely have a separate chat, Angel, on that. And OC asked, how can we enable the auto start timer? Absolutely. So that's a great question. It's my bad that I missed out. I showed the timer, but how can you enable? It's right here under contracts and billing. You have a time tracking section. So go into time tracking and you can say we have to enable auto start timer when the ticket is opened. And also, what is the default item that you have to track this time against? Of course, you can change it anytime, but we just ask for default. Most of the time, it's going to be labor in most of the MSPs cases. Right. So that's a wrap from me from a PSA standpoint, where we showed a lot about efficiency coming into SuperOps, working with SuperOps, logging time, and invoicing, having your own templates and taking away PDF. But the theme says cash flow, profitability, and all of that. While our aim is to go ahead and build cash flow profitability into SuperOps.ai, what we are also planning to do is to make sure that now you at least you have access to the raw data. So now let's say you go ahead and create a chart in SuperOps.ai for, let's say, all the work logs, and you need to know how much work was logged for a particular client. Then I can go ahead and, let's say, give total amount that was logged, and I can just generate a chart for that. And once you generate a chart for that particular all work logs, what we will do is you can even export a CSV that you will be able to get, so that all the work logs is raw data for you, and how much amount to which client, etc. Now you can map this with any other chart where you can say the number of invoices generated for that client, and then there you go. You have how much revenue you made for a client, how much time did you spend, and how much money did you internally spend for a client, and you have a lot more things that you can do with all this raw data. So that's a quick thing I wanted to show, saying that create your own charts, be it across, let's say, tickets, asset, alert, patch, invoice, work logs, anything. And whatever raw data that comprises that particular chart and reporting, now you can take it as a CSV export to do your own slice and dicing of the data, right? So that's a wrap from me on PSA side on what we have rolled out. And Hema, anything to add from your end on this?
Hey, Akhilesh, that was quite detailed. Thank you so much. I do not have any more questions. We have the poll question. If you're up for it, I can launch it and you can.
Yep, let's go for it.
Ask away. Yep. Okay. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, there we go. So the reason behind why we are asking this poll question is how do you do your invoicing? That's where we are headed, right? So we showed about invoicing, we showed about what we improved and how you can log time and generate invoices, download PDF, etc. But now we always see that invoicing is a pretty complex, let's say, process for a lot of MSPs. It's a manual work, and they're always getting data from so many places and getting an invoice in place. We have an invoice schedule to make it automatic, but however, we have a lot of us saying sometimes subscriptions has to go separately, worklog items has to go as a separate schedule. Sometimes subscriptions and worklogs need to be in a single individual invoice, or every subscription has to go as a separate invoice that is for a single client itself. You shoot up separate invoices for every line item in a subscription, then one subscription for a worklog, right? So there are so many combinations out there because I understand a client demands it. So I just wanted to quickly check with you on what is your preferred approach? What do you do currently to run your business when it comes to invoicing so that we can help make that process easier? That's where this poll is coming from.
Perfect. I think we've gotten enough responses. Akhilesh, do you want me to close the poll or do you want me to have it for a few more seconds?
Yep, I think if you have enough responses, and most of us, I think, have answered. Thank you so much, team, and we are good for that. Yep.
Okay. Perfect. Let me end the poll right away. Okay, so let's go here. Yeah. So for this part, which is about the features that we have built in RMM, which again is a very crucial part of our solution, most of the services that you provide for your clients will be to monitor their environment and to make sure that all their devices are up and running at all times. And for this, I'd like to call our product manager named Anirudh. We call him dearly as Ani within SuperOps. He is a dear friend and a great product manager. He really puts his heart and soul into building all of these functionalities. In fact, I have seen him brainstorm with the engineers and the developers several times before building a small functionality in the product. So what you're going to see now is going to be exciting. Hey, Ani.
Hi, folks. It's great to meet you guys. So let me just get the setup done. Yeah, I think we're all set up, right? So, hi, folks. I think this is a great evening, and I'm very pleased to meet all of you guys here for this particular webinar. So, on the RMM side for Q3, we had a few specific themes that we wanted to work on, right? And as you see, we had, of course, the overall strategy with which we have the SuperOps tool aligned, which is say increased technician efficiency, increasing client satisfaction, and then predictable profitability and cash flow. And a lot of the features that we've shipped over the last couple of quarters have been aligned with these end outcomes. But within the RMM module as such, there are certain themes I, as a product manager, am very specific about. If I could call out the top 3 themes that I try to focus on, one is increasing the amount of automation that is possible on the RMM module. Try to automate as much as possible so that the MSP's manual effort is saved. The second theme that I work with is, to increase the depth in the proactive management piece. For example, creating alerts and creating automations, creating scripts and all of that, what all could be proactively managed. And the third is, of course, providing more depth when it comes to troubleshooting, if in case there are issues and alerts for the MSPs to analyze and then fix. So with these 3 key themes, the top features that we've shipped over the last quarter are there for you to see right now. I'll try to take you through each of them. I would maybe start off first with, say, the patching enhancements that we have done over the last quarter. We see that the Windows patch management is the crux of where the RMM automation lies, and most of our MSPs are pretty dependent on that particular feature. And hence, it was pretty obvious for us that we should increase the depth in the automation of what is currently available. And this is where you will see the magic of a unified tool come across, right? Say, for example, I have a particular ticket where the patching compliance is not up to date for a particular asset. So I have a ticket that's come up or an alert that's come up, right? So I, as a technician, could just go into that particular asset. The key enhancements that we have done here is, say, we have enabled ad hoc patch management. That is, if a particular patch is available and yet to be deployed, I, as a technician, could just choose that particular patch here and deploy it immediately. So, for example, this particular desktop had the issue that the patch compliance was not up to the compliance levels, and hence I look at that. I look at these patches that are missing, and I could immediately approve and install them, right? And that would be lined up for deployment on this particular asset right away. Similarly, another small enhancement that we did on the patching side was, say, to show up the release notes of a particular patch. So with this, you will know that what is the release note behind a particular patch and how we have been able to take a decision on approval of that particular patch. Just trying to. So that was the first set of enhancements when it comes to the Windows patching depth that we had to provide. With that being said, the depth that is currently there in Windows is not the same on the Mac side of things, and there we wanted to catch up, right? And we had a big release when it comes to Mac OS patching. So we have launched the Mac OS patch management in beta phase for all of our users, and the users can now go into their policies. They could now have that patch management tab enabled for them, which is currently in beta. And I could now choose between the two options that Apple releases, Mac releases the patches with. So I have a recommended severity where I could say configure a particular schedule. I can choose the severity there, and then I could have an auto approval done for them. Similarly, I can have a separate schedule, say on a monthly basis for the optional ones according to my preference and time. So I could just save this, right? So we have made it a pretty simple task to automate the OS patch management on Mac assets by providing them the scheduling and deployment of those particular patches. The next one is coming to the Mac side of things again, where we have added more depth to the actual troubleshooting that happens, right? So on the Mac side of it, while you have the overall CPU, memory, open ports, all of the details where you could, stop a particular process, you could stop a particular daemon and all of that. When it comes to the troubleshooting piece, the remote file explorer was something that we wanted to really work on for the Mac side of things, because we saw that that was being used widely on the Windows side by our users. So this was something that we really worked on, and you could see that I am now remoting into this particular asset on the remote file explorer. I can, do all the native actions that I will be able to do if I was actually working on this asset locally. For example, I could say create a new folder. I could say upload a particular document if I'd want to, and I could even download a particular document if I want to from this particular asset itself. So it provides me all of the native actions. And again, I could even say move a particular folder. I could copy the folder. I can even delete the folder if I want to from all of that, right? So the remote file explorer for Mac was a pretty powerful troubleshooting tool that we launched over the last quarter, and we see a lot of our users getting a hang of it and trying to explore it, right? So those are the things on the asset side of things. And coming to the IT documentation piece, right? And there too, we have been working hardly to ensure that the IT documentation modules depth keeps up with the usage on the PSA and the RMM side of things, right? So a couple of decent enhancements that we have done over the last quarter is that, say, you now have rich text editor that you can actually use. Say, for example, I've created a document, and now I'll be able to remote into that particular document, and I would be able to use all the, sorry, I went to the link in the rich text editor. Yeah, coming back. Yeah, here it is. So I've just created a rich text document. I could edit the rich text. I could have all the properties of rich text where I could bold it, I could underline it, I could attach hyperlinks, I could attach pictures and all of that. And also we have added the tab to associate assets along with the particular document if required. So these are all the features that we have launched on the IT documentation side of things over the last quarter. And apart from that, we have also picked up a lot of scripts that our users and customers have been asking for, right? So these are custom scripts that we develop from our internal team, and we try to share it with our customers, whoever wants them to. So we recently created a script where we have actually automated the creation of a ticket, updation of a work log for that particular ticket, and then closing the ticket automatically. So if it is a task that MSPs do very often, and if they want a script to actually ease that particular manual edition of tickets and all of that, this is a script that you could use very easily, and you would be able to automate that particular action of actually creating a ticket and then updating a work log. I could just go to say my asset, I could run that script, say auto create, and that script would be scheduled to be run shortly, and say just going to a ticket that was just ran a couple of hours back. You would see that the ticket is created, the work log is logged in, and the ticket has been closed. So these types of scripts are also things that we pick up for our customers and users, where we develop custom scripts and we give it back to the community. We also have a very good community script library, where we see a lot of our users coming up and sharing their scripts, where the rest of the community also takes a lot of learnings from. So this is the overall community script library, where I can look into the scripts shared by other MSPs. I can download them and start using them if I want to. So that was a roundup of the features that we had done on the RMM side of things over the last quarter, right? So giving it back to Hema.
Hey, Ani, that was a quick wrap. Thank you. And I also remember you having a question, don't you? Let us pull that up and let's launch that. Okay.
Yeah. So
there you go.
This particular quarter, folks, we are focused on increasing the integration that we currently have on the RMM side of things, right? And we just wanted your opinion on what are the RMMs that integrations that you would like to see on the RMM side. Though eventually we will get to integrating with all of them, we just wanted to see which ones we have to pick up first, and we thought maybe we could put that to the poll here, the audience here, for you to give your inputs on. I'll just hang on for another 5-10 seconds if required. Yeah. I see that Sentinel-1 and Hoodoo are the current top runners for this. ESET is another competitor out there for the AV side, and ScalePad is for the warranty.
So what are you going to do based on this poll result, Ani?
So how this works is, as a product manager, when these poll results and these inputs come in, all of these go as critical factors that we consider to arrive at the roadmap for next quarter. So we consider various inputs such as market inputs. We have our own product's vision that we want to progress, where we want to be in 1 year, 3 year, and 5 years time. And then we take the inputs from the market and also from our CAB members, the customer advisory board, as well as the feedback from the sales and GTM teams, right? So all of this goes into the discussions and brainstorming, and all of that is what finally you will get to see in the roadmap for the next quarter or the next year. So I think we've had very good responses, and I'll end the poll right here. So Sentinel-1 and Hoodoo have been the top results as far as this poll is concerned.
Awesome. That sounds great. Okay, so I think the next one would be just a second. Yeah. Okay. So for the next, we will quickly go through our roadmap for what we have 6 more minutes left. So I request Ani and Aki to really go fast on this and talk through your roadmap, the functionalities that you have for this quarter. Aki, can you take over from here?
Yep, sure. Hema, thank you so much. And just quickly giving you an idea of what we are going to do with respect to PSA Q4 is doubling down on efficiency. You saw the new ticket tracking, time tracking, etc. But we are going to double down on that and make it very easy. For example, the thought process is you don't need a ticket or a project to start a time. Let's say a client calls you and it's urgent. Just jump into solving the problem. Just start the timer from anywhere and drag and drop it to a ticket anytime else, right? So this is the thought process we are thinking of, and also improvements in UX wise on how easy you can work with tickets. So you saw the Kanban view enhancements. Similarly, you will see enhancements at every table and every level in PSA this quarter, so that everything is flowing smooth like a butter in PSA. So that is one thing. And for increasing client satisfaction, basically how well you can support your clients as an MSP. We are coming up with a lot of very interesting factors. One is, of course, making sure that we are releasing something called the vendor conversation, where let's say you are the one face for, let's say, any client conversation, but you need an expert's help on cybersecurity, or you quickly need to check with a vendor before quoting a particular client. So all of that can be done as a part of a ticket or quote right inside the tool itself, rather than jumping into a different communication channel. More on that, of course, I think we can have a separate webinar on that itself on what's coming. But however, that is something that's cooking currently. But we also had a question on HIPAA compliance in Q&A. And I just wanted to answer saying, you know how security compliances are, but one thing is in parallel, we are working with our auditors as part of, we finished our SOC 1 type 2 audit, then now SOC 2 type 1 audit, we are going for type 2, and now it's part that also entitles HIPAA, etc. All of this is happening in parallel. On top of that, the product has to support these compliances with having custom mail servers, encrypted fields, etc. So all that work from a product standpoint is happening in this quarter to make sure that you are able to provide that secure support to your customers. And the other things like making sure that you're running your business with a lot of insights with default reports and mandatory ticket fields. Running reports is great, but you need to capture data for that. So how you can mandate these data captures is something that's coming from how well you can manage your clients. And with respect to, let's say, your cash flow, invoicing, all of that, we are launching reminders for contracts. So whenever there's a renewal coming up, you can get reminders so that you can follow up with your client and see how you want to manage your reminder. Quoting, yes, one of the most asked feature from most of our MSPs is quoting. So we are currently working on quoting as well. So let's say there is a reminder coming from contracts and you have to quote your client for the next renewal, or let's say it's a new project and you have to quote your client for any projects, you would be able to do so, go through an approval process and then convert it into invoice. And then also a lot of various other billing enhancements, which includes improving our invoice schedules based on the poll that you guys have answered today. And also other thing is, it was there in a Q&A as well. This for QuickBooks Desktop. Currently, we have started work on QuickBooks Desktop integration as well, and we are going to support all the latest versions. I think QuickBooks is still supporting any version after 2019. If any of you are in a version before that, please do drop a note to us, so we'll make sure that those versions are covered. But however, of course, yes, QuickBooks Desktop integration is in the cards, so it's not going to be only online. So people who are using desktop, we are not going to let you down. That's going to be very much there soon in the product. So that complete process of generating an invoice and pushing it to your invoicing tool will happen to desktop as well automatically soon. That's from the PSA standpoint. Awesome.
Got it. So, and I'll just quickly cover the roadmap that we have planned for the RMM side of things, right? So we're pretty excited by Q4 of 2022, because this is where we get into the network capability space, right? So SNMP monitoring is the first network capability feature that we want to pick up first. So it will be monitoring followed by discovery for us. That's how we've actually visualized the overall network management roadmap, monitoring first, discovery second, followed by the overall management. And the other things are also key things on the RMM asset side of things, right? Asset provisioning is one where, say, a new asset comes on board and the MSP wants to have a ready set of actions that are deployed on that new asset. Say, for example, deploying the OS patches, installing a set of softwares, and then running a bunch of scripts in a particular order in script bundle. So the asset provisioning side of things is also something that we're looking to cover in this particular quarter. And then, as I talked about previously, also the Windows patching is where we want to focus on and add more depth. And you will see that coming out in enhancements such as, say, deferred patching, patching duration, a window during which the patch can be deployed. And you will also see things like wake online before patching. All of these enhancements are scheduled for this particular quarter. Apart from that, another big feature or say a capability that we are extending as a product is the open APIs on the RMM side. While Aki had shipped that for the PSA side last quarter, we would be shipping the APIs for the RMM side this particular quarter, right? And we are also looking at improving on the overall depth in the reporting side of things by providing patch reports, a lot of default reports that would be populated as soon as, say, someone logs into the particular instance. We're also looking to integrate with Halo PSA. Those are already in the works, where we see a lot of our RMM only customers latching on to that on the Halo PSA front, and this has been a frequent ask for our customers. So those are things that we are looking to address this particular quarter. And while the mobile app has been a huge success, we want to follow that up with adding a lot more depth and bringing the mobile app on par with what is there on the web side of things. So you will see a lot more of the RMM actions also getting added to the mobile app in this particular quarter. So I'm pretty excited by what we have to, build over this quarter. I know that a month has already passed and we've made a lot of progress in cracking a lot of these things. You will see these features being shipped out over the next few weeks, and you will see that adding a lot of value to your day-to-day operations.
Hey, Ani, thank you for wrapping that up real soon. I know we've already overshot our time, so we just have one last question to ask you, which really would drive more of our functionalities that you see in the product. So whoever can stay behind and answer this one question, it'll be great. So what is it that you would like to see in SuperOps.ai next? Is it the ability to schedule and book appointments? Is it an integration with Zapier? Is it profitability? If it's all three, you can send it as a chat message. If it's two of it, you can send that in as a chat message as well. This information that you're answering as a poll would really help us understand where your priorities are, and will also ensure that we are aligned with your priorities. Okay, so I understand and I can see that scheduling appointments has the largest number of votes, and I think we can understand why. So, Ani also wants to share something with you guys, so I'll let him share that.
Sure. I see a lot of questions being raised on the features. I know we're running out of time, so folks who have raised questions, I or Aki would be reaching out to you over mail and addressing those questions that you have raised here on this particular meeting. So I think we'll have to take that offline due to the lack of time we have on this particular webinar.
Yes, you're right. So thank you so much, guys. We will be sending the recording of this webinar, and we will also be sending the responses to the questions that we were not able to answer. We will send that to you via email. So thank you so much. It was fun having you, and absolutely amazing bunch of attendees. We love the questions. We love the engagement. Thank you so much for staying throughout this webinar. Thank you.